Permit and other wonderful information webinar, sorry, and it's hosted by our wonderful faculty here at Cuyamaca College, Kristen Zink and Nicole Hernandez. CalWORKs at Cuyamaca is hosting this program, and we're inviting our students from EOPS, DSPS as well. And so we hope that this will be a really helpful info session and training session for those who are coming in to learn more. My name is Melanie, and I am a part-time faculty counselor here at Cuyamaca. I've worked at CalWORKs for about 5 years, and we have a lot of wonderful students. Many of them are child development majors, and so we decided to have this get together, this forum, so that we can answer some questions and go over some of the career options for our students who wish to become preschool teachers and obtain the California permit. So we hope this will be informative, and I'm not going to take too much time. Oops,
okay, let's go ahead. There we go. Oh, Melanie, I'm so sorry I muted you. Unmute. Because I was muting the background.
Thank you.
There we go.
Fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and Kristen, can you begin by introducing yourself, and then we'll have Nicole Hernandez introduce herself.
Okay, so I'm Kristen Zink and have been at Cuyamaca 30 years now, and it's been a joy all that time. I've been program coordinator and full-time faculty, and I will be retiring at the end of the semester. It took me a long time to be able to say the R word, and Nicole Hernandez is going to be taking over as program coordinator, and totally peace of mind in being able to leave, knowing that she's going to be the person taking on the job, because she is amazing and wonderful. And to all my students, if you haven't taken Nicole, you will love her. She's going to be fabulous.
Thanks. That was so kind. I see some familiar names. Some people are in my classes right now, actually, which is nice. My name is Nicole Hernandez. I am full-time faculty also, and going to miss Kristen very much when she leaves.
Except she's not going. I'll be behind the scenes.
Yeah. I also do the training consortium grant. I'm the coordinator for that, so processing those applications as well.
Okay.
I think she disappeared.
Melanie, did you? Okay.
Oh, there.
I'm here. Okay, well, thank you. Nicole or Kristen, did you have a presentation or a screen that you wanted to share?
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now. If I can get to, you know me and getting to the right screen. If anybody's ever had me for any class, you know that's always my greatest challenge, is getting the right screen on. But we'll see how this is going to work. I just have, okay. If I've led a good life, you're going to see the correct form. Okay, yes. So I wanted to start because many of you are interested in getting a permit, and Nicole's going to talk about that. She's the perfect person for that. She is our Child Development Training Consortium person. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between Title 22, which is what's required to work in a community preschool. Like if you wanted to go to ABC Barn, you know, down the street from us, or to Foothills United Methodist Preschool, or to Auntie Lynn's, or to, you know, KinderCare. Those type of preschools are licensed under community care licensing. And so I'm going to send this handout to Melanie when we're done, and she can send it on to you if you're interested. It'll also have the link to community care licensing so that you can get more information. And to be a preschool teacher in the state of California, you only need 4 classes. I mean, to me, that's amazing. It's in revision right now, but right now that is what's expected. And these are the 4 classes you need. It has to be the 125, the 131, Child Family Community. Then you need 1 curriculum class, and it can be any of these classes. really 123 is a great class to take, but in 126, which is art, 127, math and science, 128, language and lit, or 129, 128 is music and movement, and 129, language and lit, you get experience writing activity plans or planned possibilities, and that's so valuable for you going into a preschool as a teacher. So I really, recommend you take one of those. 130 is really the advanced curriculum that you should take after those other classes, but it is acceptable to the state of California. And then you need an elective. It can be any 3-unit class. And we usually recommend that students take the 124 infant toddler development because it increases your higher ability. Chances are when directors see that you've taken the 124, it means they could place you if they needed to with the infants and toddlers. Even if you got hired to work with the preschoolers, you could go work with the infants and toddlers as a teacher with the 124 class. Without it, you could go in as an aide, but you couldn't go in as a teacher with the infants and toddlers. So most directors really like you to have that class. And then the other one would be working with children with special needs, because more and more inclusion is taking place in community preschools, and that's valuable. Okay, so that's it. You need your transcripts, you need your immunizations, your TB test, and in some cases they'll ask you to have first aid and CPR. That depends on the school. So those are the basics then to teach in a community preschool. If you want to open your own family childcare, I've put the link here to community care licensing. There are no units required to open your own family childcare. There would be if you wanted to open your own school. If you want to open your own school, you need the 12 units I highlighted above, plus an administration class, plus experience as a teacher. But to open family childcare, you just need to be licensed as a family childcare facility. And to do that, you go through community care licensing. They'll send out representatives to your home. They come out on 2 visits. You have to have, no felonies. You have to lock up your guns. Thank goodness, anyway, that one always amused me, that's one of the 2 big things, no felonies and lock up your guns. You need to be assessed for that. They do want you to have CPR and first aid. But again, if you go to this website, they'll tell you about the orientations and what's available. Nicole's going to talk about the permit, so I'm going to skip down past that. And this is what we tell our students. Yes, you only need 12 units in the state of California to be a preschool teacher, but why not go ahead and get our certificate? It increases your higher ability. It increases your breadth. In other words, your awareness of the field, and you become much more confident in what you're doing. Also in today's world, you know that the degree, a college degree, a community college degree, means that you're going to make substantially more money over your lifetime, and a 4-year degree even more so. And if we have time at the end, we have very good links with 4-year colleges. We really encourage our students and support them in getting their bachelor's degree if they want to. But for right now, we really do try to help our students get their certificate. This is called a certificate of achievement. It means you've achieved a level of professional certification. And it is really, I think, again, something that helps you get hired. And some schools I know will not hire you without a certificate. And there are even schools that will not hire you without a degree. So it's to your advantage to get that. And this is what you need. You are going to take early in your career. We say to students, take the 123, which is the introductory curriculum class, and take the 125, which is growth and development. And then get the curriculum class or the child family community. Then you've got the 4 units that you need. The 4 classes, 12 units that you need to teach in a preschool. Early in your career, take 106. That is right now, unfortunately, due to COVID, we're not offering it, but that's the lab practicum where you actually go into the center and work with children 3 hours a week. According to the Department of Education regulations, you can only do 106 in the field if the person has their master teacher permit, and Nicole will be talking about that. And then take one of these classes early in your career. Again, it helps you get the courses that you need. Then you're going to take the 130, which has all of these classes as a recommended preparation. And at the very end, you take the student teaching classes 132, 133. And again, I'll send this handout to Melanie so that you'll have this in writing. And then we have 2 degrees at Cuyamaca, which makes us somewhat unique in our Region 10. We have a preschool degree, and then by taking 3 more classes, you can actually get your infant toddler certificate or degree, which is a specialization in the area of working with infants and toddlers, okay? And so this is the academic piece of it, but it's also your career preparation. Again, this is meeting the regulations of Title 22, and then the course requirements to get your certificate or your degree from Cuyamaca College, okay? And then Nicole is going to talk about, do you want to just take questions at the end, Melanie? Would that be best, or?
Melanie just stepped out, but I think that would probably be best.
Okay, then let's, and again, we have some other courses that you can take that are in working on your infant toddler degree or your infant toddler permit. Your infant toddler certificate, okay? Again, our program, I think it's wonderful, I'll be honest. I think we really prepare students well when they take our classes to go out into the real world and get a job, love their career, love what they do with children, have good relationships with the parents. So again, I really encourage you to get your certificate, but you can get your 12 units, start either substituting or getting a job in the field, and then work towards your degree. So you can actually work and be taking classes at the same time. So, okay. So Nicole, that's my part. Do you want me to, I'm going to stop sharing the screen so I can get back out of there. Okay. Nicole, you're on mute.
Kristen might have to pop in a little bit to help me out too. So,
okay.
She's just awesome and knows everything.
I don't know.
Let me get to the screen that I want. All right. So we're going to talk about getting your permits, and, in our field, having a permit is really going to be beneficial. Like Kristen mentioned before, to your hireability within centers. There are some centers that do look for you to have a permit and look for that as a basic hiring requirement. Hopefully you get a permit as high as you can go if that's something that you would like to do. The highest level would be the program director. But most of the time, right, we're starting off with teacher, and I'll show you that there are some levels below that. My recommendation is always to go for the teacher permit. I feel like that's the one that holds the most weight when you're getting hired, because that means then you can teach a class, right? And you've taken the classes that you need for that. So to get your permit, you're going to want to visit this website, childdevelopment.org. And this is the Child Development Training Consortium. Okay, and you can click here where there's a child development permit stipend, meaning that the CDTC, they do have monies to help you apply for your permit. Those funds typically run out pretty quickly, but they just released them not that long ago, so there should still be some money hanging around there. But if that's something you want to do that as quickly as possible, because they will help you pay for it. So I'm going to click this button right here where it says apply, and it takes you to this page here, and it gives you some basic instructions and the ways or the different levels where they will pay the application fee. So there's an application fee, and then there will be a fingerprint fee. So let's look at that a little bit. So if you're going to be a first-time permit applicant, they're looking at reimbursing permits that are master teacher or lower for that stipend. So at this level, if you're the first-time permit applicant, you can also be reimbursed for your fingerprint. So those reimbursements will come later. So typically you have to pay for it ahead of time, and then they will probably reimburse you later. The second one is a permit upgrade. So if you're a master teacher again or a lower level and you want to upgrade your permit to the next level, you could apply for this stipend also. For me, I can't apply for this stipend because I have a program director permit and I can't, I'm not eligible to apply for this. So at master teacher is when the eligibility stops to apply for the stipend. If you're renewing it, meaning you're staying at the same level, you can also apply for this stipend. And valid and expired permits are eligible. So the permits last for 5 years. And within that 5 years, you're asked to complete 105 hours of professional growth. And there's a whole plan process that goes along with that and finding a professional growth advisor. I don't think we're going to get super in depth to that today, but we'll be available for questions or to meet with you if you want to talk about that, because it can be a process finding an advisor and coming up with your plan for hours. So if that's something you have questions about, let us know. You can also apply for an online renewal. So if you're a teacher or master teacher, you can renew those directly with the state's, what do I want to call it? Credentialing website. You can go right there and renew it. And that's how I renew my own, is I go right to the state credentialing website. You will pay your fees by debit or credit card, use their application, and then you'll use the online application to request reimbursement from the CDTC for the $100 renewal fee. Okay. Any payments made to the credentialing before November 2nd are not eligible for reimbursement. And that's because they just released the money in November. So anything before that would not qualify or be eligible for that reimbursement. And then here it talks to us about what is not eligible for the stipend. Extensions, so if you're extending it, downgrades, so you're going maybe from the master teacher to the teacher, they won't reimburse you for the lower level. Any applications that are sent directly to the CTC on any permit, okay, that are excluded in items 1 through 4. So through this process, your application actually goes through the CDTC instead of going straight to the credentialing. Go ahead, I see you.
Is that okay? Yeah, I just was going to
Yeah.
say too, for some of our students, any credentialed teacher and any permit actually will be processed eventually by the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, which is an agency under the State Department of Education that awards permits and credentials. But you'll be applying for the permit. And so what Nicole's showing you is the Child Development Training Consortium. And the reason we go through that instead of the CTC is because you can get reimbursed. And it's an easier process actually too. So, yeah.
So it eventually goes, like Kristen said, to the state to look at, but for reimbursement purposes, this is where you would start. Okay. And so let's look at the matrix, which I just pulled up a minute ago to see kind of where we would fall in line. So I don't know how many of you, if you have ever seen this permit matrix before, this kind of tells you what you need at each permit level, the classes that you need, and if you need any hours to go along with it. And so we'll just kind of start at the beginning. You could get an assistant permit. I've never seen an assistant permit in all the work that I've done with schools, but if you wanted an assistant permit, it's 6 units of child development, just the 6 units. And just so you know, in a classroom with 6 units, you would not be able to be left alone with children, right? So as Kristen mentioned, most of the time they want to see the minimum 12 units. We encourage more than that, but the 6 units, you wouldn't be able to be left alone with children. So I always recommend, let's wait till we have a few more units to get a permit. And I think it makes more sense career-wise to wait. There's also the next level is the associate teacher, and there's your 12 units of child development. And those include those core courses that Kristen was talking about. 1 course in each of the categories, which for us, it's 125, 131. And then the programs and curriculum, it's been so long. Is that 123 that they're looking for, Kristen?
You take 123, 126, 127, 128, 129, or 130. licensing actually prefers, or at least they used to, I haven't seen their grid recently, but they used to prefer the 123 because it was a more of an overview course. But they'll take any of them.
Okay. So 125, 131, and then any of our curriculum classes, which range from 123. And then your kind of methods courses where you're getting practice music and movement, math and science, or 130, which is the overall curriculum class. So any one of those at that level. And then the next level is the teacher level. And this is where I really recommend students, if you have these units, go for the teacher permit, because that has, I feel like, the most weight within the field for hiring at the teacher level, right? So here with option 1, you'd have to have 24 units of child development. That includes your core courses. And then 16 general education units. And down here at the very bottom, where the 1 asterisk is, it tells you which classes, 1 each in 4 of the general education categories: English, language arts, math or science, social sciences, humanities, and or fine arts. So it is more units. But if you're working towards your AA, a lot of times you already have those units. And then along with option 1, they're hoping that you have 175 days of experience at 3 or more hours per day within 4 years. So if you don't have that, and hopefully you maybe would have gotten that in your 106 class, there's some experience there, or work, then you could apply for this permit. Right. I see. Did you have something to
No,
add?
I was just agreeing with you. Yep. I'm just like, right. Yep. Absolutely right. Yeah. And
And
also,
go ahead.
as I say, isn't it true that they can also get reimbursed for those general ed units through the CTC? Yeah.
So those general units of reimbursement are through the permit, or not the permit, the grant that they just came out with this year, with different levels of reimbursement, in hopes that you're working towards a degree in child development or obtaining or upgrading a permit. But that's a whole different program. So we have different options. You'll see that there's alternative options. So if you already have your AA, you could look at different options. Right now, we're just going to focus on option 1 because I think those are the most important things for us to look at. The next level is the master teacher. Oh, hold on. Let me go back to this authorization piece right here. So when you have your teacher permit, right here, it tells you what you can do, right? So this, if you are a teacher permit holder, you can provide service in the care and development instruction of children in child care and development program, and supervise, aid, or permit holders above. So as a teacher, what it's saying is then you can supervise an aide or an assistant, an associate teacher or an assistant. So it tells you what that permit level means. Okay. That doesn't, though, necessarily mean in your job place that's what's going to happen, because you might be the only teacher in the room and you might not have someone to supervise. Then we go down to our master teacher, which is our 24 units, again, of child development, plus the 16 units, plus 6 specialization units, and then 2 adult supervision units. And here's where it gets a little tricky, because none of the adult supervision and administration classes are only 2 units. They're all 3 units. So I don't know why it says 2 units, but you could take the adult supervision class and it would fall into here, the master teacher. And then the experience does go up to 350 days of experience. Same thing, 3 hours per day within 4 years. And then here, you can do the same thing, provide instruction in a childcare setting, supervise others, and you can also be a coordinator of curriculum and staff development. So this is where Kristen was talking in the 106 class. We want our students to be placed with someone that has their master teacher permit or above, because it's just a higher level. They have a little bit more experience doing a variety of things. So this is another good permit level to strive for. And then we'll go to our site supervisor. And so you'll see it's the same thing, right? So in option 1, it's now either your AA or 60 units. So you have to have your AA or the 60 units, and it's going to include, again, 24 child development units, 6 admin units, and then 2 adult supervision. This option 1, this piece here, it also is going to then include 100 days of supervising adults. And so this is where that master teacher permit or the teacher permit holder comes in handy, because if you have someone that you're supervising, an aide, a breaker, someone like that, you can count those days towards earning your site supervisor permit. Okay, when you have your site supervisor permit, this then means that you can supervise a child care program at a single site. So you could be like the director, the assistant director. You are now qualified to supervise a whole site and everybody in it. And then lastly, the program director permit. For here, you're going to need to have a BA or higher. It doesn't have to be in child development, but it does need to include, again, the 24 units of child development. Then we add here 6 admin units and 2 adult supervision. So that means you're going to take all of our administration classes, admin 1, admin 2, and adult supervision, which does not give you a total of 8 units. It gives you a total of 9 units. So they're a little behind on that, I think, switching that adult supervision to 3 units, because I've never seen it offered for 2 units. So and so in order to get your program director, you also need to be a site supervisor. You need to have that permit for 1 program year. And so that means you have to have 1 program year of being a site supervisor and having that experience. So in these lower levels, you could really move from permit to permit, from like assistant and associate teacher or teacher to master teacher within a year, based on the number of units that you're taking. As you get higher to the site supervisor and the program director, they're going to ask for a little bit more time and experience before you're awarded that permit level. And then there's all these different ways that you can earn those if you are not necessarily in the field of child development. So any questions on the permit, or we're going to hold, we said we were going to hold questions till the end, right? Yes. Okay.
Well, I think if they do have questions about that, I would emphasize most of our students come in at the teacher level, like you said, Nicole, and it's
Great.
the Head Starts have more and more started to ask for the permit at the teacher level. So that's what I would aim for in most cases, right?
Yeah, it's actually, it's a requirement.
Oh, it is now. Okay,
it is a requirement now for hiring and Head Starts.
Okay.
If you're going to be a teacher, to have the teacher permit, if you're going to be the lead teacher, but they also require that you have a BA to be a lead teacher also.
Wow.
Yeah. So aim for that teacher permit. Most of the time, you will have enough units to get that. And in a lot of the job applications or the announcements, I don't typically see anybody asking for a permit level below that, below the teacher. Do you guys have any questions about what I just went over before we go over the application? Isra, I see your hand. You have a question, Isra?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
First, good morning,
Good
Professor.
morning.
And then I don't know if you knows that I finished my my associate,
Yes.
and I want to get a permit.
Okay.
So I don't know, like the difference between Title 22 and the permit that I. So Professor Zink before she's told me that I have to get more experience on the classes, but I don't know how to get this experience if I am not like hiring. Like I want to do it as a volunteer, but with this situation now with COVID-19, I couldn't get like to volunteer. So how come is it okay to get a permit without the volunteering hours?
Yeah, so you're going to need, so when you were in your um, student teaching, which is just one semester,
Yeah.
you probably have enough days for an associate teacher. How many days are in a semester? I can't even think how many days are in it.
Let
I
me just
don't.
ask, Isra, did you get your degree?
Yes, I get it. Yes, thank you for asking, but
Okay,
I
so
get
once
it.
you get your degree, so you have your degree. So Nicole, she would fit in option 2.
Yeah, so right here.
She doesn't need the experience because she has their degree.
Right. So right here under teacher,
Yeah,
where it says option 2, you just need your AA, which you have,
yeah.
and then you can just apply for it.
Right.
Okay, so would you please tell me how come I apply for it?
Yeah, I'll move into that next. I just wanted to see if there's any other questions about the permit. So make sure you write down your questions when I go over how to apply for it. Okay?
Yeah, and just please the next permit, I don't know, the second permit, this is for Title 22, right?
So you could, yeah.
But how about the other permit?
So the state of California just has one permit for child development.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so how come can I apply for it, or it need more hours?
So you can apply for this permit with just your AA.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nilda, I think I saw your hand.
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Almost similar to that one.
Uh-huh.
So right now, what type of permit could I apply for? Because I just only need the 106, the 132, and the 130, which they're not offered this semester.
Yeah.
So
So-
what can I do to this point?
So we would have to just sit and kind of go through your transcript to see what you have. If you're working in a center, right, then we start looking at here maybe at associate teacher because you have the 12 units. But if you're working in a center, you probably have the 50 days of experience, 3+ hours a day within 2 years. So we would start probably looking here at the associate teacher. It's really
Yeah.
going to depend on the classes that you have.
Okay, because I'm not working in the child center.
Yeah.
I mean, basically those the only 3 classes that I need in order to get the associate degree.
Uh-huh. So you would probably then start here at the assistant.
Oh, okay. But we can meet later, right, and talk
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Okay, sounds
Uh-huh.
good. Okay, that was my question.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, please. Can
Yes.
I ask?
Uh-huh.
So now I finished my associate degree. Can I apply for a certificate for infant and toddler?
Kristen, that's you.
Say that again, Isra.
Professor, please. I finished my associate degree.
Mm-hmm.
Can I still apply for infant and toddler certificate?
Did you take, once you get your associate degree in preschool, you would need to add 124,
Which she took.
143, and 170. If you add those 3 classes, then yes, you can apply also for the infant toddler. There's a little catch. The catalog actually says if you get 1 degree and then you wait a while and take the units to get another degree, you're supposed to take 12 additional units. There is a way to get around that by doing a petition, but that, just to let you know, that is what the catalog says. So I usually encourage most students to try to get their degrees in the same semester. It's not true for certificates. You could get your certificate in infant toddler, but to get the 2 degrees, there does need to be supposedly an additional 12 units. They're trying to change that, and so we'll see if it actually gets changed.
Oh, so I have to take one, you mean I have to take 170 at the same semester that I graduate from, like, let's say preschool? So I have to take them at the same time?
Yeah, they recommend that, but it's not required. I can meet with you individually, Isra, to explain the process a little bit more.
Yeah,
Because
because
it's
it's,
the link to my office hours, and you and I can do that so that Nicole let's let her run through the application.
yeah,
And we'll
sorry.
come back to it. Okay,
Yes, thank you.
All right, thanks.
we can follow up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're back at the childdevelopment.org website. And you'll see here on the right-hand side, if you're a first-time permit user, you can click right here on your first-time permit application. And then it will upload it here for you. And here you go. And here it's going to lay out the instructions for how to do this, right? And this is for this program year. And it does say that in order for it to be done in a timely manner, please read and follow all the directions carefully. They will send back any incomplete applications to you if there's something missing. So you can only apply for this one time per person each year. Okay, so it's just one time a year. And the CDTC is going to pay the application fee if you're an eligible applicant. So do not send money for the application when you send in the application. Don't send the money to apply, because if they still have money, will pay for it for you. The only thing you will have to pay for are your fingerprints. But you can ask for a reimbursement for that. And the last time I got my fingerprints done, it was like $75. I don't know if that's still the case.
It's I'm sorry, it's for interrupt, but now it's 90 something.
Okay, so it's gone up.
Yeah, and just please, if I have it for CD 123 and 133, I should like redo it again.
So here's the funny thing about fingerprints is not every fingerprint agency talks to each other. So there's a really good chance you're going to have to do it again.
Oh, thank you.
So if you got your fingerprints done, let's say at the police station, they might not transfer over to some other place.
Okay, thank you.
Nicole, if I could, I think Melanie, our director, Melanie, told me that the Child Development Training Consortium and the permit application requires their own set of fingerprints, even if you've had them someplace else. Yeah.
Yes. So I get my fingerprints when I have to get them done at the County Office of Ed. It's on by appointment. It's a very quick process. They're very thorough. That's where I get mine. And because they have their own credentialing department, they know where to send everything, where everything needs to go. So that is an option also to get your fingerprints done. So the stipend payments for first-time applicants, as I mentioned before, are just available for assistant, associate teacher, teacher, and master teacher levels. So anybody higher than that, you would not be eligible for this stipend. It is optional, so you don't have to do it this way, but we're showing you this way, as Kristen mentioned before, because they're going to pay for it for you if they still have money, and they'll reimburse those fingerprint fees. Okay, if you go right to the state, all the fees are your responsibility. You pay for the application, you pay for the fingerprints. Now, if they run out of money, then you will be responsible for all of the fees. So I recommend to jump on it as soon as you can, as soon as you have what you think you need for this process. So if you submit any of your applications right to the state, the Commission on Teacher Credentialing, then you won't be eligible for a reimbursement. So do it this way. You're going to want to print all of your forms single-sided. So when you print out this packet, make sure it's single-sided and not double-sided. They'll send it back to you if it is. You're going to complete the checklist, which I'll show you in a minute. And then the permit funding is processed on a first come, first served basis. So whoever gets it in first is probably going to get the money first. You must work or live in California to be eligible. And then incomplete or incorrect applications are not processed. So if you have an unprocessed application, it could take them up to 6 weeks to send it back. So then there's a chance, right, that there might not be any money. You can only resubmit an incomplete or incorrect application one time each program year. So they give you one time to resubmit it if you need to. Okay. And they'll give you all the information that you need on how to return the application. Okay, so here's a nice email.
Nicole, sorry. We had a participant in the chat ask if you could put the info on the County of Education in the chat box.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I'll go through this. Will make a mental note or remind me.
Yeah, perfect.
To put that in the chat box. So here's the checklist that you'll go through. So keep the checklist. I would keep it with you as you go through the application. So print out the application, pull out the checklist, and keep that with you as you're filling it out. I recommend you fill it out in order because there's quite a few pages and quite a few boxes that you need to fill out. You can also type it out, right? Because everything is fillable. So maybe you just print this checklist page for your own reference, and then you fill out the application online. Okay, so they have all of these steps for you to follow and a bunch of forms for you to fill out. And it tells you exactly how to fill out each section. It tells you what to leave blank. It tells you what to fill in, which is really nice. So they're really walking you through it. So make sure that when you do start the process, you can sit down and really focus on the application. That way, you don't get sidetracked with something else. So for me, I wouldn't fill out an application like this until my kids were in bed. Just because I know that they would want to know what I'm doing, or they would want a snack, and I wouldn't be able to focus. So pick a time when you can really focus and really go through the paperwork to make sure you fill it out correctly. Because remember, it could take them up to 6 weeks to send it back to you. So that's a really long time. So you want to make sure hopefully we're doing it right the first time. So you need to have an application for credential authorizing public school service. I'll show you that form. Your request for live scan service, which is your fingerprinting form that you use. Okay. So right here, number 2, it talks about fingerprinting at other places. So fingerprinting done for an employer or the Department of Social Services cannot be used in place of this fingerprinting. So you're going to have lots of fingerprints, but once it's in, it's in. You do not have to redo your fingerprints if you already have it on file with the credentialing for the state. So for me, when I renew my permit, I don't have to get fingerprints again because they already have them on file. So that's kind of the nice thing. Let me see. Okay, I was just checking the chat really fast. So they also have the live scan reimbursement form here that you would send with this. You do need to have original college transcripts. Okay, so they're not e-transcripts, which some places do accept, right? If you're applying for a job, you could send an e-transcript where your institution sends it to whoever you're applying for via email. They don't do that here, okay, unless it's submitted by the County Office of Education. I would just recommend that you just have them printed out from the college, and then you'll attach them to this. So you can open your transcripts, which is nice. You don't have to leave them sealed. So they want you to open them, make sure that they're correct. Make sure it has everything that you need. Okay. And then they have all these other forms of verification of experience, master teacher specializations, if that's what you're going for, using option 1. It does also say to make a copy of your entire application for your records before you mail it. So make sure you have a copy of that. All right, so see here on this page, these are all the things you need to fill out. This is the permit stipend request form. And fill it out exactly as it says, first, middle, and last, okay? Birthday, mailing address, all of those things you need to fill out for sure because they're highlighted in yellow. Those things that are highlighted in yellow and have the little red asterisks are things that you must include in your application. Okay, you must include that. They're also going to ask for the permit type, right? What type of permit are you looking for? Is this the first time? Are you renewing? Are you upgrading? Did you renew it online and you want a reimbursement? Okay, so you'll look at those and then request your permit level, whichever one you're looking at. Okay. And then because of COVID, they will accept an e-signature just for now because we're in the time of COVID. And then you're going to mail the completed form with all of the documents in this application to this address. Okay, so every single form, you're going to send it here. Then you have to fill out this lovely application for credential. And same thing, everything in yellow. Okay, you're going to want to fill out everything in yellow. If you are a new credential or permit, you would click this little box right there and see it makes an X for you. Okay. And then they even highlighted over here, child development permits. Okay. Maybe you're going for a teacher and you click that. So just follow the yellow highlights. Follow the yellow highlights and you should be good on filling it out. Then you have to sign a permit renewal if you're renewing your permit. And this just says that you have completed your professional growth activities that you said you were going to. Okay. And here are some, they call them fitness questions. If you have any questions about these fitness questions, you can go to the explanation form right here. So you're going to want to read all of this stuff. They're going to look at criminal history at the federal and state level. They're going to look at teacher data, complaints from others, if there was anything that was flagged by a school district. And then you have to disclose misconduct, even if it happened a long time ago, another state. So it's kind of like a background check, right? They're along with the fingerprints, they're checking to make sure that everything is good. Then you'll answer these questions down here. Okay, remember all the ones with the yellow highlight, you're going to have to answer. Then we have the statement of child abuse and neglect, mandated reporting. We know that as professionals in this field, we are mandated reporters. And so we will read this statement and understand what it says and then click agree if you do. Okay, then you have to sign the oath and affidavit that everything that you've put in this application is true. And then the next form is the LifeScan reimbursement request form, your fingerprinting request form. Here they didn't highlight everything in yellow, but you will need to see the little red asterisks, fill out all of that stuff here. Okay. Where it says issue check to, that means who are they going to reimburse the money to? So if it's to you directly, you would do the permit applicant because the money is going to go directly to you because you paid. In some centers, the employer or the agency might pay for it for you, and then it would go to them. But it kind of sounds like for everybody here, you would be applying for it on your own. So you would need to click permit applicant and they would send you a check for your reimbursement. Okay. Important. You need to attach the original receipt. So when you go and you get your fingerprints, don't forget to save the receipt because they're going to want to see it so they can reimburse you. And that's just for their records also to make sure that everything is in line the way that it should be. Okay. And you need to allow 4 to 6 weeks for processing. Okay, so it might take 4 to 6 weeks. And then here's your request for live scan. You're going to want to fill out all of this stuff here that has like the blue box, because that's the fillable stuff. And you need to fill that out before you go get your fingerprints. So have all of your paperwork ready. It'll go so much faster if you do that. And then if you need to have a verification of experience, meaning you need to have a certain number of days and hours in a classroom, this is where you would fill it out, or somebody else would fill it out for you, right? Your employer would fill it out. And then they tell you how much time. Okay. You have to tell them where you obtained the experience also. And then if you're going to be a master teacher, you would need to pick a specialization, and then the classes would go listed here and the number of units. And here's the different examples of specializations. Infant and toddler is the one that we have, or children with special needs. I think we could use that also.
We could also do the teacher and family relationships if they took the 131, like plus the 145 or the 115, right?
Yeah, so we have a couple that you could use if you're going towards the master teacher permit. Okay. Here is a confidentiality profile that they need to have for their work that they do, and the data, they track data to see who's applying. Okay. And if you're not employed in ECE right now, you need to skip to question 22.
Nicole, can I ask you a question about that? When I talked to Melanie about this, she said that this is really a good thing to do, because then once you've done this, any workshop that you attend or any training that you attend that is linked to this, they'll automatically record it for you. So it's like you, is that
This
true?
is a different form.
Oh.
The workforce registry, yes. The workforce registry is if you take any state funded or like a West Ed training, they track it for you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And what does this one do?
So this one is, this is collecting data to tell them who's getting permits, who's applying, at what levels, demographics, and things like that. And it helps them plan and kind of see who might participate in professional development. And it also helps the state for planning.
Super. Thank you.
Yeah. So I know, sometimes we're wary about things like this, but really the data really helps in our field tell us a lot about who's in the field, what we need to do to continue making the field great. So just fill out as much as you're comfortable filling out. You don't have to fill out everything. Okay. But the data is very helpful. And then that's the registration form, right? So once you complete all of that, you put it all together and you mail it to, let me find the address again at the top, to this address right here. Okay. And then we just have to be patient for them to process it, remember, because this program is for the whole state of California. So they're getting in applications from everywhere. So I believe it takes like about 6 weeks to get all this stuff processed. I'm trying to think if I left anything out. I don't think I did.
I don't think you did.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? And I'll put in the chat the county office information.
I think we had one student or one participant with their hand raised, but I don't know if their question was answered. Was it Nilda?
Nilda, did you have another question or you're good? She might be good.
And I know this always comes up, if I could just clarify really quickly. Title 22 is a licensing agency. It's actually the law. Title 22 is the law that regulates group care for either, any bit from babies to old people. It regulates group care. Chapter 12 out of Title 22 actually relates to childcare and to preschools. So that's the Department of Social Services. What Nicole was describing actually comes from the Department of Ed. It's an ed code, just like the ed code that mandates what we have to do at Cuyamaca College. And you can get both your certificate and your Title 22 requirements, and you can get your permit. There are two different threads of authorization. And we usually say to students, get both. And then on top of that, get your Cuyamaca certificate. So you get the 12 units for Title 22, you get your Cuyamaca certificate, and you can get the state of California Title 5 child development permit. And then you've got a really nice package to take out when you go to look for a job. Any questions?
So I put up this website here at the County Office of Ed. They do not take walk-ins, and especially now they're not taking walk-ins. So you would need to make an appointment, and you could just click right here and their appointment calendar comes up. Okay. One thing to be aware of, and this might happen at other fingerprinting places also, is you have to pay in a money order or cashier's check. Okay, so you can't bring a personal check, you can't bring cash. Either has to be a money order or cashier's check. Okay. So here, just make sure you read through everything to make sure you have all the documents that you need. Okay, I saw Isra's hand. Isra, did you have a question?
Yes, please. So when we get our associate, can we come back and get a certificate if you didn't take it before? If we didn't take it before?
A certificate in
like any child development certificate, I mean.
If you have your AA. So if you have your AA, I think Kristen mentioned there's some paperwork for that, or right
for it.
Like if she wanted to get an additional certificate, even though she's already gotten her AA.
Yeah, you can certainly do that as long as you meet the qualifications. You just apply through the admissions office. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then we have certificates of specialization. I didn't even go into that. We have 2 of those. And if you've taken the classes for the permit, you've also taken the ones for our early, it's called early childhood
intervention. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's inclusion. It might be intervention. And then the other one is the administration certificate. And if you get that one, that actually covers all the classes that you need to open your own preschool.
Yeah. I like to recommend, obviously I'm very biased. I love the infant and toddler. And Kristen was right in the beginning that with those infant and toddler classes, you are definitely more hireable because, like Kristen said, they can move you from the preschool classroom to help out in the infant toddler class. So you have a broader understanding of children, and it's really beneficial in a center setting. I also highly recommend taking the administration classes just because you never know at what point that's something you're going to want to move into. And if you don't have those classes already, it could be difficult to get an administrative job.
Can I just real quickly too, we're discovering, because we've been working with financial aid, especially since we have to not offer the student teaching classes in the spring. Be sure that whatever classes you take, you can get them in your ed plan, and that you have not capped out the number of units that can be covered by financial aid. You want to work closely with the financial aid office because they're wonderful people, wonderful, but they have very strict state and federal regulations that dictate what can be covered and what cannot. So, yeah.
Nilda, I saw your hand.
No, I guess it.
I got it.
So, but you know what? I do have a question about So are you able to tell me when we meet, what classes do I need in order to take the toddler or the other certificate?
So for like the infant toddler certificate,
Uh-huh.
it's 124, 143, and 170, correct,
Okay.
Mhm.
Kristen? Yeah,
Right, in addition to the classes that
in
we-
addition to all the other classes, yeah.
And on the
Okay.
handout that I'm going to send to Melanie to send out to the rest of you, that information is in the handout.
Okay. Any other questions? And Kristen and I are here to help you in any way that we can. And if I don't know the answer, Kristen will know the answer, so I know where to go when she's not physically sitting in front of me anymore.
Or we'll get the answer. We
We'll
don't-
get the answer, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I always like questions I can't answer because then I have to do the research to find out what is the answer. I love that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah. Any
okay.
other questions?
Okay. Then Melanie, we'll turn it back to you if there's no more questions.
So just please, Professor, I can talk with you, like we can meet after the meeting, right?
Send me an email, Isra, and then I'll send you the link to my office hours. So we'll get together. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. So can I send you, write my email in here? Is it okay?
Sure. You can also email me. You've got my email address.
Yes, okay. Because I don't know, like sometimes, like you have 3 or emails, so I don't know which one is the perfect one that I can get you.
Okay, I'm going to put it in the chat right now.
Oh yeah, I
Appreciate
guess
it.
I should put mine. I'll put mine.
Appreciate it. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor Nicole and Kristen Zink. Well, I guess if we don't have any other questions, we can wait a few more minutes, but we can end our webinar.
So, so
really-
just a place, Melanie, before you go. So how come I get this meeting if I am not, I don't know about it. So how come I get to this meeting again if I want to?
Isra?
Yes. Hi, Sarah.
I'm here.
Hi, Sarah. I miss you.
Remember, I sent you the link because I know that you're interested in child development. So even though you're not
Yeah.
no longer with CalWORKs, I remember. I know. I'll include you. So
I thought you were, I thought you were move away. You told me I move away.
well, I went.
I don't know you are here.